All right, so we need to talk about something that has been bothering me, and I know some of you have been asking for my thoughts on this, and that was Coby White's most recent post-game press conference after the loss against the Miami Heat, in which he finished the game going 0 for 9 with 2 points. And the comments he made to me as a fan were very frustrating and concerning about his future role with the team. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing what was said in that press conference, what it means for the Bulls, and even the potential impact of it on Coby White's future for this team. So what's going on, everyone? You were listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, in case you guys missed, shortly after the loss against the Miami Heat, the Final Four game between North Carolina and Duke was wrapping up as well, which of course is one of the biggest rivalries in sports. It's the Final Four, so on the biggest stage in college basketball, and it was of course Coach K's last game coaching Duke. So it was a big game, I won't deny that. Like any fan of those two teams is going to be heavily invested in watching the end of a big game like that. And of course, as you know, Coby White is a North Carolina alum. He played his lone college season with them back in 2019 before being drafted number 7 by the Chicago Bulls. So while Coby's interview was being conducted in arguably one of the worst games for him of the season, one of his worst stretches of the season as well, given the fact that he's been 3 for 24 shooting from 3 in his last 5 games, while he's being asked questions, Coby is half watching the UNC Duke game while also responding to the media's questions around his shooting slump, the state of the team, you know, given the Bulls continue to struggle and Coby hasn't done anything to help that. And this was how Coby responded.
Haven't gotten this deep in, like on the verge of going to the playoffs.
We won. We won. Clap it up. Yeah, but I'm talking about this. Yeah. I went to school there, North Carolina. Yeah, I got coached by the coach. You know, I went to school there.
No, Coby, we did not win. The team you currently play on actually got blown out yet again by the Miami Heat, and you have one of the worst games of the season, shooting 0 for 9. You don't play for North Carolina anymore, and the fact that you don't really seem to care about the current state of your team and your play is pretty concerning. Like, I don't know about you guys, but for those that played basketball when you were younger, or maybe you're still playing basketball in a competitive setting, because a lot of my viewers are a bit younger. I played in high school, and when I really had a bad game, I was very unhappy and disappointed in myself because I let my team down. I didn't care or think about anything else. I took bad games very personally. Now, granted, not everyone is the same. I know some people will say, well, there are more important things than basketball. It's just a game after all. Don't let it get to you. And that's 100% true. There are way more important things in this world than beating yourself up over a bad loss in sports. But in that moment, after a bad game or bad loss, I always was very frustrated with myself, and you wouldn't see me being happy about anything. Of course, this is me talking about high school basketball, very different from a guy like Coby White, who is a professional basketball player playing on the biggest stage and competing at the highest level in his sport. But in a way, you would almost expect that to impact a player more. Like, this is your job, it's your profession, you get paid to play this game. If anything, you should be so mad to the point where you don't even want to talk to the media. You're that ticked off about how you're playing in front of millions of people watching the game. But no, not for Coby. No, he's just answering questions nonchalantly and excited for his former team going to the national title game. But that wasn't the only thing that bothered me as a fan from this press conference. I was actually more bothered by his response when asked about his shooting slump.
Obviously going through a tough stretch shooting. We've seen you go through this before. How do you handle it mentally and physically? I saw you getting up extra shots after the last game.
Yeah, you know, it ain't the first time. You know, I'm only I can dig myself out of it. So it is what it is. Like I said, this game from 3, you know, I haven't been shooting the ball well. So, you know, for me, it's just continue to you know, shoot. It doesn't matter. You know, if I go 0 for 10, if I go 0 for 11, you know, the bad thing would be if I stop shooting, if I stop taking the open shot. So my teammates, you know, tell me to keep shooting, so it is what it is.
Now, if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know by now that I am also all about players who are passionate, who take the game seriously, who play hard and with effort for the full 48 minutes, and above all, play smart basketball and have great awareness of what they bring to the table on the court. Coby is showing none of that in this interview. He's not taking the game seriously, as he simply is just brushing this off as another loss. He takes no issues with the fact that he just went 0 for 9 in a big game, and that instead of recognizing this as a problem and maybe a different approach needs to be taken, it's, no, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Doesn't matter if I go 0 for 10 or 0 for 11. The bad thing would be if I stop shooting. No, that would be the time that you do stop shooting. If you're going 0 for 10 or 0 for 11, you better damn well stop shooting the ball because you're killing your team at that point. And that lack of awareness, combined with the fact that he's cheering on for his college team while doing all this, is just mind-boggling to me. And look, I know Coby is a fun guy, he's a lighthearted guy, he jokes a lot, I totally get that, and I like that about Coby White. But you know who was also a funny guy who joked around a lot with the media? Joakim Noah. Among others, of course, there are a lot of players in the NBA who are hilarious off the court, but for Noah, when his team lost, especially if he had a bad game, he was pissed. You would not see Noah smiling or laughing with the media after a bad loss. You wouldn't see Noah saying, well, I had a bad game. I'll keep doing what I'm doing though. Noah was a very self-aware player and took that accountability for his performance and took it very personally when his team lost, especially because he had a bad game. Now, Noah is a bit extreme because we all know he's one of the more passionate players in NBA history, but that's also what made Noah so great was he always held himself to a higher standard. He laughed and joked, but also took the game very seriously. And look, as a fan, those are the types of players I want on this Bulls team. Guys that are always looking to get better, guys that want to win, guys that will acknowledge their mistakes and using their mistakes as learning lessons to improve in the future. I don't want guys on the team who are just happy to get paid their millions of dollars and have little self-awareness when it comes to the urgency of being focused going into the playoffs. Now, I said at the top of the video how this press conference could impact Coby's future with this team, and I'm sure some will say, come on, man, one interview is not going to dictate Coby's future with this team. But I would argue that it's things like this, where players don't take the game seriously, they don't hold themselves accountable for going 0 for 9 in a game, that are more focused on watching their college team play than their team just getting their butts whooped. Like, that's not going to sit well with the front office. This front office has shown time and time again, they don't play around, and they'll be cutthroat and get this team what they need to do to win. And what's baffling to me is that if Coby doesn't turn things around, he could very well be on the chopping block and finding himself out of the rotation. Like, he does not realize that Ayo, a rookie, has outplayed him to the point where he's getting more minutes than him and being a more impactful player in his role. He does not realize that once Lonzo Ball comes back, if he comes back this season, that his role is likely going to be reduced significantly based on how he's currently performing. Like, if I had my choice between Lonzo, Caruso, Ayo, and Coby is the odd man out at that point, because he's playing way too inconsistent, doesn't play smart basketball, and he's made it clear he's going to be chucking up shots even if he goes 0 for 10. Like, no, that's a problem. And does Coby also not realize he's the most likely candidate to be traded this upcoming season? Him and Zach Lavine are the only two remaining players from the Garpax era. As it stands, he's not the best long-term fit for this team given you already have Lavine, Ball, Caruso, and Ayo in the backcourt. It would be one thing if he was improving his game and showing some consistency in his play, but no, his numbers have dropped more recently, his role is getting reduced. Like, people forget that Coby last season had to be benched for a period of time in favor of Tomas Satoransky because of his poor play starting at the point guard. And I know some will say, well, this front office is clearly keeping Coby around for a reason. Sure, if he's showing signs of improvement, if he's showing signs of maturity and better decision making, but the guy is walking on super thin ice right now with his play and how he fits with this team. And that post-game press conference just shows the lack of awareness Coby is displaying and how seriously he takes his game. And that might have been just enough to trigger to the front office that it's time to move on from this guy, because it's still clear that the Bulls need more size. The small ball lineups haven't worked out very well for them. And if you look at all the Bulls backcourt players, outside of Matt Thomas, of course, who won't be with the team next season, I would be shocked if he was anyway, of the 5 main core guards in Zach Lavine, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Dosunmu, and Coby White, if I had to get rid of one of them in exchange for a bigger forward, it's going to be Coby White. Like, really, between all of those other options, I wouldn't want to move the others. And maybe the front office wants to see what happens with Zach Lavine and his impending free agency before they think about moving Coby. But then this team has way bigger problems if Coby is the backup plan in the event that Lavine walks in the offseason. But maybe I'm making too much of this. Maybe this isn't a big deal and I'm just getting too worked up over Coby enjoying his former team advance to the national title game. But as a fan, I thought his lack of concern, lack of frustration with how he and the team are playing right now, and the lack of self-awareness with his responses to the questions was concerning to me. And I think it's going to impact Coby's future with this team as we head into the offseason. I want to know what you guys think though. What do you think Coby's post-game press conference after the loss to the Heat? Were you as upset as I was, or do you think that it's just not really that big of a deal. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget, the Bulls have a big game tonight against the Bucks. I'll have a live chat for that game on the channel as well as the Discord. Until then, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.